It's time for another lesson in counting toes. Bigfoot toes, that is. It's Toes of Terror, where I add to my comprehensive list of Bigfoot films I've seen and reviewed through the years. We all know how hard it is to find Bigfoot, but it seems even harder to make a Bigfoot movie worth a damn. But there are plenty of filmmakers who have tried. Be sure to check out my website, mlmillerwrites.com, to find an updated comprehensive list of Bigfoot movies ranked in feet and toes. Teenagers Battled the Thing, aka Curse of Bigfoot, was released in 1958 and 1975. I'll explain later. Both films are streaming on Tubi. It's directed by Dave Flocker and written by James T. Flocker. Here's a bit of an anomaly. Director Dave Flocker and his brother James T. put together a low-budget black and white horror flick called Teenagers Battled the Thing, about a high school archaeology teacher who takes his class on a field trip and uncovers a mummified monster from prehistory, a monster that resembles Bigfoot in many, many ways. In 1958, the film was only shown once in the filmmaker's hometown, but then flash forward to 1975 when the Bigfoot craze was in full effect and those darn flockers decided to re-edit, colorize, and re-release the film as Curse of Bigfoot. In that film, footage of a guest lecturer is added to the beginning, along with a lot of additional nature scenes to pad out the 60-minute Teenagers Battled the Thing to become a full-length feature hour and 30 minutes, making Curse of the Bigfoot. Look out, it's a mummified Bigfoot on a rampage. After the class unearths the ancient cryptid, it wakes up and ambles after them for short periods of screen time. The monster itself looks like it was made from the pelts of about 12 different animals, especially the creepy-ass mask with the googly eyes, and I guess it's supposed to be wrapped in mummy wrappings as well. The whole thing looks pretty creepy. I mean, if I came across this guy in the woods, I'd be filling my pants. On top of this, we have this damsel sporting some very unfortunate bangs that are more terrifying than any Bigfoot ever put to film. But this snail-paced Z-budgeter takes about an hour and 10 minutes to actually get to the Bigfoot mummy, at least in the Curse of the Bigfoot version, leaving just about 15 minutes for the Bigfoot mummy to do some damage. The first hour of the film is filled with stock footage of nature, animals, and lumber mills, and lengthy and needless exposition. This is especially so in the Curse of the Bigfoot version, while Teenagers Battle the Thing get to the mummy stuff a little bit faster. Even those with a patient fast-forward finger will be tempted to skip ahead on this one to the parts with the monster. Once the monster is loose, it's decent fun as the beast wanders around, looms into the camera, peeks at the kids through bushes, and breaks tons of stuff. I'm going to give Curse of Bigfoot 2 foots and 2 toes. Despite the horrible special effects, the stilted acting, and god-awful pacing, the idea of a mummified Bigfoot is pretty darn awesome. Plus, the DIY Bigfoot getup makes it all the more creepy. SNOWBEAST 1977 is streaming on Tubi. It's directed by Herb Wallerstein and written by Joseph Stefano. SNOWBEAST was released in 1977. A small Colorado ski resort attempts to celebrate its 50th anniversary winter carnival, promising to be an orgy of fun and games. But a floppy-haired Bigfoot decides this is the perfect time to bust out a can of stomp ass on local skiers who dare get too close to the forest. Though he pleads to close the resort, head of security Tony, played by the Wilderness Family film's Robert Logan, is forced to keep it open by the owner of the lodge / grandmother, Carrie, played by Beetlejuice's Juno, Sylvia Sidney. Enter Gar, Walking Tall's Buford T. Pusser himself, Bo Stevenson, a former ski champion looking for a job. Gar and Tony used to be besties. In fact, they're so close, Gar's wife Ellen, played by the Black Hole's Yvette Mimieux, used to be in love with Tony. But while this trio is trying to figure out their relationship issues, the Bigfoot's rampage continues. When you're making a Bigfoot movie and you smartly choose not to show the monster for most of the movie because the suit doesn't look so hot, you have to fill it with all kinds of drama. And director Herb Wallerstein does just that. Wallerstein had a ton of TV show experience before filming SNOWBEAST, which itself was a TV movie made obvious by the many fade to black and red transitions between scenes. While not a lot of gore is shown, there is the suggestion of gore during the attacks as the scenes fade to red instead of black. The suggestion of violence is more sophisticated than one might imagine for a Bigfoot movie, but it does show that some thought was put into making this film different by director Wallerstein. More impressively, the film is written by Joseph Stefano, writer of Psycho, who based the movie on the memoirs of Roger Patterson, who filmed the famous Patterson-Gimlin film depicting what looks to be Bigfoot walking into the woods in Willow Creek. So the script is a bit better than most B-movies, too, giving Tony, Gar, and Ellen a more engaging relationship that feels real and less like filler between the kills. The film does seem to be fluent in a lot of the Bigfoot lore known at the time, providing a lot of fun facts about how Bigfoot is a creature who may migrate across large distances rather than sticking to one location. Still, the Bigfootin' is sparse in SNOWBEAST. The attacks are filmed from a first-person POV, making the beast a little more like a hairy Michael Myers. The rubber claws used aren't that ominous, but the size of the paws are impressive. Because the Bigfoot suit isn't shown much, you get a whole lot of POV shots of people screaming before they're killed by the monster. Once shown in full, the beast looks a little like the Buzzcock's King Buzzo. Its floppy hair suggests that this Bigfoot uses the right kind of conditioner for his locks. The monster has a snout more like a dogman or a bear than the typical simian-like face usually seen. This Bigfoot is ominous looking, but smartly shown in quick cuts, blurry motions to cover up everything that may take away from the beast's ominous nature. SNOWBEAST is somewhat confusing in terms of plotting and who we're supposed to be rooting for other than the Bigfoot. Tony isn't made too appealing as he seems to be pining over Gar's wife, Ellen, who seems to be sick of Gar and ready for a little romp in the snow with Tony. This makes Gar kind of likable, but later he's seen flirting with a bevy of women at the mixer, so none of them are without fault. The film really has 3 candidates for leading man, aside from Gar and Tony, both big, burly, alpha male lead types. SNOWBEAST also has TV cowboy Clint Walker as the sheriff, so it's hard to identify who is the hero until the final reel and we see who's still left standing. The Bigfoot's attack on the resort is pretty amazing. It's a mass sighting resulting in a riot with tons of extras falling all over each other to get away from the beast. This scene was added in late in the game when one scene where a skier falls from a ski lift only to be mauled by the Bigfoot below was deemed too gruesome for network TV. This was 1977, you know. I think I'm going to give SNOWBEAST a solid 3 feet and 3 toes. Sure, a lot of the film is filled with stock footage of snowmobiles, skiers, and people pittering around in the middle of relationship stuff, which muddies up the works quite a bit, but still, SNOWBEAST managed to entertain me most of the way through. This is most likely because of the solid writing. SNOWBEAST is kind of a classic and took the material seriously, which doesn't seem to happen these days. Though scantily used, the Bigfoot is effective at being savage and scary, and while the story is just Jaws in the snow, it still does the tropes well. Sightings was released in 2017. It's streaming on Tubi from High Octane Pictures. It's directed and written by Dallas Morgan. Retired Sheriff Tom Mayfield, played by Boo Arnold, has decided to live the simple life, take care of his daughter, and mourn the loss of his marriage when his wife disappeared one day a few years ago. When the bodies of 3 young women are found on his farm property, he becomes a suspect in those deaths as well as the disappearance of his wife. That's just the tip of the iceberg of conspiracy when a cryptozoologist arrives, citing that there has been a rise in UFO activity during the time of the disappearances of the women, and also, coincidentally, a rise in Bigfoot sightings. This corroborates with theories his wife once had about the property they live on being cursed, revealing that people with a specific blood type, the same as Tom's wife and the daughter, seem to be the target of these abductions. Tom begins a quest to keep his daughter safe and find out just exactly what's going on, which leads to an encounter with a large hairy monster in the woods. While the script borders on convolution at times, with a larger reliance on detail and conspiracy, the heart and soul comes from the earnest portrayal of a burdened man by Boo Arnold, as former Sheriff Tom Mayfield. While the film isn't going to be winning any acting awards, it does, through Arnold's performance, feel like a sincere and sensitive film about loss and moving on. There's a sweetness that feels genuine, as if the film was made with true attention to the character rather than focusing on gore and over-the-top action and scares. Sightings does have moments of tension and even some nice shocks, but never in gratuity or excess. In many ways, Sightings feels like a low-scale version of M. Night Shyamalan's Signs, which was also quite a wholesome film. I like the escalation of encounters that happens in Sightings. I like the mystery that runs through the film. I even like it that we never really see the entire Bigfoot in frame, only snippets of hands, arms, feet, and maybe an out-of-focus shadow in the background. Too many Bigfoot films get the rug pulled out from under them once the bad Bigfoot suit is made clear. Those seeking a clear shot of the elusive monster might be disappointed, but this film instead plays to its strengths, and I admire that as well. I'm going to give Sightings 2 feet and 3 toes. All in all, Sightings isn't a huge film, but a well-intentioned one with strong character, a few fresh ideas, and a little fun conspiracy to follow. A genuinely sincere core makes Sightings a sci-fi conspiracy trip that dips its toe in horror a time or two. Bigfoot fanatics might be interested in this one, especially if you think the big guy may be from out of this world. Finally, we have Mortal Game, which was released in 2024. It's streaming on Tubi. It's directed by John Lechago and written by Paco Alvarez and John Patrick Lechago. A group of big game hunters are helicoptered to a secluded island where they have a chance to track down an elusive monster that they don't necessarily call Bigfoot, but basically is Bigfoot. Now, the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch is never mentioned in this movie. It's just called the creature or the monster or the thing, but it's big, hairy, bipedal, and mean as all get out, fiercely attacking these hunters with a flurry of claws, teeth, and sheer brutality. Filmmaker John Lechago only shows the beast in quick cuts and skewed angles, making it difficult to really see what it is we're looking at. Most likely this is due to the fact that a clear view of the beast would kill the mystique and show how low budget the film really is. That said, because the movie is basically one big action sequence, and the monster attacks pretty much right as the hunters set foot on the island, the choppy editing and typed shots of the beast's attacks do amp up the level of tension and keeps the pace of the film moving at a rapid clip. Mortal Game is no boring movie. It moves quick, and plenty of people are torn apart by this cryptid by the time the credits roll. Which is a good thing, since Mortal Game's biggest problem is the acting. Taking up the dual leads are Daniela Alexis and Madison Kahn, both stunners, but not so great in terms of the thespian skills. I gotta be honest. Alexis plays a spunky gal with a grudge against the beast, and though they try their damnedest to make her seem tough, her delivery of these hard-edged lines are one-note and unconvincing. Kahn does better a job as her character actually seems to have a little bit of depth, which is weird because Alexis is given the flashback sequences to flesh her character out more. Neither of them are given much to do other than swear like they've just learned curse words and talk tough in front of the beasties. The monster design is pretty okay. I like the long gnarly claws. There are 2 designs suggesting that maybe this is both a dogman and a Bigfoot these hunters are dealing with. The Bigfoot one is more interesting with an articulated jaw and face, though it's hard to make out from the quick edits. The other simply looks like a guy in a werewolf mask, as he just hunches over and seems to be wearing some kind of camouflage ghillie suit. I'm going to give Mortal Game 1 foot and 3 toes. Mortal Game is not necessarily a bad movie. It's just a bunch of folks getting picked off one by one in the woods. While what I could see of the monster designs were interesting, the fast edits and blurry or distant angles make it hard to discern. This one's a mindless little joint, nothing earth-shattering, but it evokes a lot of what the original Predator did best, and on the budget it has, occasionally it succeeds in aping that classic Monster in the Woods movie. Well, that's it. Those are 4 Bigfoot films that I was able to unearth this week. Have you seen any of these? Are you going to check them out? And what are your thoughts on Bigfoot? I'm always curious. Let me know the answers to these questions and more down in the comments. Please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. You're doomed.
live the life you're meant to be. Stuck inside your reality, your